Welcome to this week's episode of Real Housewives of Turin. With me, we've got a German Dave, a Canadian Dave, and a Yankee Dave. We're here to break down all the shenanigans and shithousery that went last night. I mean, fortunately, despite everything against us, we still won a title. And yet, despite us winning a title, we couldn't have 5 minutes of happiness without shit finally spilling over. And I think Max finally had enough of the bullshit that was going on behind the scenes and absolutely blasted. So we'll go over some of the stuff. We'll go over what some of these loser journalists have said. I would say we would go over the club statement, but this club has no balls because they can't make a statement. We'll talk about Gintoli and what his ploy in this is, whether or not you agree with it. Yes, Bones, Gintoli is the promiscuous wife. And we'll kind of go over some reactions on Twitter, but to open, I'm frustrated. This is absolutely embarrassing. Like, this is ridiculous. This is like Napoli
in front of the whole football world.
Like, this is Napoli level dumb shit. I've never seen something like this. But you guys go ahead, open up.
Well, the news has been all over the place. That's why we decided that we should probably go live tonight. All the content creators are going live tonight, so thank you for everyone who is joining us. We always appreciate it. We're gonna throw it to you real. Screw the other guys. You got us. So thank you for joining. Of course, while you are here, please do like and subscribe to the channel. That is much appreciated. And we got two new guys, two new members in the Discord as well. People are coming in, so this is good. Maybe a little drama is good once in a while, right, guys? Right?
It is. I kind of wish that the main drama that we had to talk about.
And then you follow our Instagram.
That, yes. I was going to say, if it was, us doing a video covering Pinsoglio's ass in front of Milik's face, that would be a fun video. It would be a fun breakdown of that. That was hilarious, but we could. And Vlad posted it on Discord. He got a close up on it too.
There's all kinds of shenanigans in the locker room afterwards.
Oh, that was awesome. But more so on the unawesomeness. So there was more heat, right? Because I know yesterday we reacted instantly to Allegri's red card, and we were all kind of like laughing about it and cheering, like, let's go. But this morning we've got something where it breaks essentially. Allegri getting potentially sacked. He was getting fined. He might get suspended. Montero will be the coach, and blah, 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 blah. And so according to some of these bum reporters, Allegri vented his anger towards journalists in the corridors of the Stadio Olimpico. You guys didn't tell the truth for a year, and you all knew it, and he almost came to blows with a journalist. We also have a statement released by a lawyer in regards to what the come to fists or come to blows. There wasn't any based off of what the lawyer said. And unfortunately, guys, it's always going to be he said, she said, right? There is literally no video of what happened.
There's apparently a bunch of eyewitnesses. They're claiming that it was out for everyone to see, but it happened in the tunnel, so clearly not.
Yeah, there's Allegri kicking lights, kicking fixtures in the media area. I mean, he lost his mind. I mean, like, for example, he was something cooped up, and he must have found something out that just pissed him off so bad, where he said, you know what, F it, I'm just doing it now. Like, this is where I let it go.
Well, he could, because he proved everyone wrong, got the title, he rallied the troops. Yep. And it was his final fuck you.
And this is where, like, for example, I get irritated. So I believe, I don't remember who posted this as a journalist, because I pulled it from a translation, so it could be a translation error, right? But yesterday, Max Allegri attacked the director of Judo Sport, Guido, and he said by himself, shitty director. Yes, you shitty director. Write that truth in your newspaper, not what society tells you. Stop playing hustles with society. And I think that society is, translation, the club. To the initial invitation to stay calm and explain to me what the truth was, that I was hiding in cohorts with his employers, Allegri responded by pulling me and pushing me with his finger under my nose, saying, look, I know where to come and get you. I know where to wait for you. I'm going to come and rip your ears off. And when I hit you in the face, write the truth in the newspaper. Great embarrassment for what happened has filtered through Juventus, and Juventus have apologized for what has happened. So my issue with this is, and this is what kind of shows me the cowardice of this board that Juve have, is that There's no statement release. There's, hey, we're all they have to say this, right? And this is me with my corporate background. You need to get in front of something like this. Juve did not get in front of this because guess what? Their lightning rod is the one that's involved this time. Because last year, when everything was, we're not even Big Don's rent. Whatever, dude.
Did you win the final?
The bus is a final. Fuck you.
Okay.
Somebody win the final?
Somebody's angry about
somebody clearly didn't even listen to what I said. I said it was an FU of him losing his mind after the game. Like, I guess you can't listen properly, but sure. But when you look at it from that perspective, and it was just...
I don't think that has anything to do with what you talked about.
Yeah, I wasn't even reviewing the game yet. Like, damn,
I think it's just some frustration from the game. It doesn't have anything to do with what you said.
But it's just like when you look in deeper, there's like, for example, a bunch of allegedness, and then like, for example, the club itself not stepping forward and saying, we are aware of the altercations of what happened in the tunnel, and we are currently investigating, and we do not want to release a statement.
Yeah, okay. Mine. Why was my comment when I said it was his final fuck you? Because he did what he had to do. He did win the game, and he has been dealing with shit for so long. And you know what? If you want to pull out a single fucking stat, okay, 34% ball possession.
One-off cup final. It's a one-off cup final.
That's one fucking stat.
Hey, everybody, calm down, everybody. Save that for later because I can cook on that all night. Let's go through the important stuff, and we can cook on this one as well.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll have the discussion on that.
Don't get right up right now because of this. We will take care.
I was the calm one. Whatever, Dave. You're the one that says you're ready to cook. Don't even. I'm the calm one right now. I got my beer. What do you got? You got nothing.
But kind of going back to what
my eyes and beer.
But anyways, going back to kind of like the initial discussion, right? And it kind of shows to me how spineless this management team is, where they aren't even willing to go out and say, look, hey, there's an issue. We're investigating. We're doing this. We have journalists and people coming out saying he's suspended or he's fined or this is that. Like, that to me is like ridiculous. Honestly, it is. I can't believe, like, for example, you're letting journalists do your own walking for you, yet no one can go out and say, like, for example, even Giuntoli himself can say, hey, look, there's a situation that happened. We're looking at it. We're investigating the matter. We can't comment at this time. But no, you've got Romeo. You got Romeo. You've got Nicolo. You got Mirko. You got Albanese. You got all these guys that are like, he might get fired, or he's suspended the last 2 games, or this or that, where it's just like, can you guys not handle your own shit? Like, are these executives camera shy? Like, what's the deal here? Like, I don't understand this. And when you start looking at the plot and it starts getting thicker, when you start reading things and you start reading in between the lines, and they're saying this, like, Giuntoli had his mind that he was trying to find a way to get Allegri fired since January. And that begs the question, and this is the debate that we had on Discord, was this season sabotaged? Right? But it's a conversation starter at this point, because you mean to tell me that John Elkann threw $85 million out of nowhere to purchase Dusan Vlahovic back then, because I keep seeing this. We had no money. We're in economic mode, blah, 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 blah. Yet Elkann was like, hey, I'll give you $85 million for Dusan. Let's do it. Let's go for it. And then you look at the salary.
200 million for a capital increase.
So it's like, you look at things like that, right? And it's just like, and in all honesty, when it comes to the midfield additions, you just needed a solid replacement for Fagioli. Just one decent replacement. Because, like, for example, and we'll get into the game, but again, it's another game that when Locatelli was benched, we won. So it's like, it to me is just ironic, because it's like, out of everything, every avenue, you get Charlie, who didn't even rarely featured, And then you have essentially Giallo, who hasn't played a game at all. And like you look at the 4 million for Charlie, the 2 to 3 million for Giallo. You mean to tell me you couldn't fork out around 10 million to get a decent midfielder from Serie A? Well, it's just
if we wanted, we could, I think.
I think so,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's what it was. So and this is what's going on is they're saying that Gintoli kept it as top 4 and as far as you can in the cup because he's always had the impression of finding a way to get him out of there. He's always wanted his guy. He always wanted, he never wanted Max, which to me is just kind of like, okay, if you want to be the big balls, sack him. Start fresh. You should have started fresh from last summer when you came in. And it might not be the most popular opinion, but hey, because when you do a move like this, because, Max, and for example, as long as I've followed this club and how long we've seen Max, I've never seen Max lose his mind like this. I've never seen
never.
this happen.
Yeah.
This has never happened. And when one of the issues is with him and Gintoli, and I'm sure, maybe in 2 or 3 years, the actual truth will get out. Because right now, it's how Juve's board are. They're cowards. They're going to try to bury this, hide it, and pretend like it never happened.
Well, the truth of the matter is the average fan won't even know what's going on.
No. I don't think so. And it's just like, for me.
My problem is
Go ahead, Dave. Cook. Go ahead.
No, my problem is the average fan is on X, so the average fan knows of it. The problem is that the actual football fans or those that are deep into the club and into the news and everything that can differentiate between stories and read between the lines and everything. We don't have enough of those people. The problems we have a lot of average fans that are buying everything that is out there, that are buying everything that gets written by Toto Sport, that buy everything that gets posted by Agresti and all those people. And that's the problem for me, that nobody's out there questioning whether there's any truth to the report. Like, every single report, everything that is on X, every newspaper, all of them, like, I called them Backpedal FC, and now it's a running theme, because every single news that they report, they say, "Oh, it's a done deal." They track back on every single fucking report. So so we can't trust any of the journalists. Seemingly, the journalists are driving the management's agenda, and not whatever. The truth is maybe somewhere in the middle, but we don't know that. But now we know that the club is driving the agenda, and that the club is feeding news stories, whatever. Now, of course, we don't know if stories are true or not, but we know that the club is feeding news and reports to the reporters. And that is all the bullshit we see in the media, like reading it on X, reading the newspapers and everything.
And that's what I think the altercation was with Guido in the tunnel, is how much did Allegri read this season? Like, we pretty much read all of it. It's kind of our job to read all of it. It was pretty anti-Allegri. If he just read a fraction of what we read, he knows most of it was bullshit. Just like we exposed, because of this whole backpedal FC, as you say, they say one thing, another thing happens. Allegri's not dumb.
Oh yeah,
he knows what's going on. So yeah, in the midst of all this blow up, and then to see the head honcho of the propaganda division, I'm not surprised he said something to him.
Well, the concern is, and this is like, for example, and I'm pulling this from Inter fans, like an Inter group. So they said, I don't want to say that Allegri did phenomenal,
dude,
right?
This is so crazy.
So this is from Inter fans, folks, like Inter. They said, I don't want to say that he's done well, but it must be understood the club used him as a lightning rod for 2 years. They didn't strengthen the squad. On the contrary, they plotted with journalists to use him as the only scapegoat. Allegri knows things that we don't know, especially to what Giuntoli has been dealing behind the scenes. Because it brings back this thought that I had then. Remember, you guys remember the dinner of Galliani and Giuntoli where they were allegedly talking about Gregino, and it leaked that Galliani was telling
Di
Allegri that
Grigorios,
Giuntoli plans.
but you're
It was,
trying.
but yeah, but they were planning to sack for Giuntoli to sack Max. So it's just like, my concern is what if Giuntoli's been leaking this stuff the entire time? And then that starts to make sense why January was lackluster, because I said it back then. I said January is where you see whether or not this club is willing to take the risk and go for it. They didn't, because they knew. And I think this is where Giuntoli, and this is allegedly, right? We're never going to know the truth on this one. But I think that Giuntoli was like, I'm not gonna add anything here. Why would I add anything? I don't envision to keep this guy anymore. So that's why, he didn't add midfielders, and it got to the point where the momentum faded, the team stalled, and then it fell apart. And the question is were there players in the locker room in cohorts with Giuntoli for this? Because now it begs the question. It goes in deep, right? Because if you look at it now, today, Chiesa is committed to Juventus and does not want to go anywhere else now.
He would be the only one. He would be the only one I would believe that would be true.
So exactly, right? And that's the timing.
Do you know what the crazy thing about that is? Do you know what the crazy thing about that is? Do you remember when we talked like on a weekly basis, there were news that Chiesa wants to earn more money and yada yada yada, all that bullshit. And now all of a sudden, yesterday reports are, we talked about the contract renewal and we intend to sit together at the table after the season again. Like nothing happened. So who the fuck? So were the reports before that a lie, or is this now the lie?
This is nuts.
I don't know if I can agree with that though, P. Morton. That Florence is better food than the Piedmont. I mean, Ferrero is from just down the road. What's the team? Elba, yeah. The wine. I don't know. That's a tough one. Get me with the food. I don't know, man. I don't know if I agree, but we'll move on because Allegri is a bit of a vintner himself.
So,
and by the way, we didn't even mention that FIGC banned him for our last 2 games because of the red card. So he's not on the bench anyway.
Well, that's for Coppa games. So yeah,
You sure? I read that it's for the last 2 Serie A games.
Nobody knows
that he's banned. All right.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. I guess if there's 2 different sources, because I read it was for the Coppa game. So I mean, can only
there you go, guys. You get Landucci or Montero ball, but no.
they'll make it up as they go.
It's
just Chiesa's stat
line. So kind of to further more on this, so Allegri's lawyer has come out and said that there was no physical altercation, and as well as, like, for example, Tutto Sport, their lawyers confirm this as well. So people going around saying, well, if he went at his employer or someone and tried to punch him or do this or blah 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 blah, like, he should get fired. So this is what came out. I cannot talk today. I reiterate that it was not an altercation. It was a monologue between Allegri and myself, who I was about 20 meters away, engaged on a phone call, not paying any attention. And this is, I believe, Guido. He addressed me with the phrase, "Hang up the phone, you piece of shit director." He continued with all the phrases reported in my reconstruction, including the threat to come and get me and rip off my ears. He forcefully grabbed my right wrist, pulling it several times while speaking loudly. I never insulted him or raised my voice, as the witnesses can confirm. I simply said in a normal tone, "Stay calm, Max," and twice, "Be careful. What you're saying is serious." I reiterate that this morning because the matter was in the past for me, and I hope to not have to revisit this again. So, for all the folks that were sitting there, he decked him, he grabbed him, he smashed this, did this. Monologue. No altercation. And this is
I
what
did read
worries
the
me.
one report that he did break a light belonged to La Presse. He was going to do, I guess, an interview, and that's part of the lighting. I did read one single report. So I don't know, but in terms of a serious, I guess, like a fist fight. Yeah, there wasn't a fist fight, if that's what people were trying to get at. But no, I don't think so. Anyways, if that's what happened, there would have been police involved. It would have been assault straight up.
It would have been detained.
Yeah.
It wasn't detained because there was no altercation. It was people yelling at each other. But even like, for example, Fabrizio, this is for Vlad. I'm going to say it for Vlad. Fabrizio Tapano is going on saying that they're parting ways. Like, no shit. Thanks for telling me something I didn't know. The detail is whether or not they want to sack him now or in 10 days.
Right now we have way bigger problems than if he stays or not. The problems are running way deeper right now.
And this is where the problem kicks in. Juventus's priority candidate is Motta. There is no signature, no confirmation.
Verbal agreement.
Just a handshake deal. So what's this, what's to keep Motta from looking at this and saying, damn, this team's sporting director might have just held their coach out to dry. Should I go there?
And the team, and their players,
and the team,
the coach, the coaching staff.
So the question is, right now, and I've said this, and my biggest concern is the Juve job is not attractive, and it isn't. But it opens this discussion now where it's like, you guys don't even have your coach signed yet. Like that to me, and we don't know if it's Landucci or Montero.
I've heard. I would imagine it's gonna be Montero. There's been a lot of reports of that he's been given the heads up that he's he's gonna have to show up on Monday. But would Landucci even do it at that point?
Well, apparently there was a report saying that Allegri's staff was leaving the Contenassa
for the day. I think that was for the day.
Vlad is asking for Plan B. Vlad is asking for Plan B. Now give me Thomas Tuchel. Please give me his toxicity to fight back at the fucking management.
You can't, like, for example, the reason why it's not the next gen coach is because they're technically competing for something, so they can't be, they can't get relieved at this point. And like, folks got to understand, Montero's been terrible with the youth team.
I don't. Next gen lost.
I know, but I don't know if it's I think it's a 2-leg tie.
Is it a 2-leg?
Because it's the round of 16. No, we understand they don't sleep at the Contenassa, but they were saying that they packed their things. Like Allegri staff was moving their stuff out of the actual thing.
And Vlad, this is not a tinfoil hat show. It's Thursday. This is a day after show.
Was supposed to be. We were supposed to have a day off.
We don't know what this is. Oh my god.
Trying to find some more stuff here to cover.
No, the crazy thing, I always like Thomas Tuchel. The problem is that I thought that the club wants to portray like a professional, a serious club, and not like these desperate housewife acts that we have right now. If we are already that deep into it, please give me another motherfucker that kicks the management's ass, man.
Vlad says
and Thomas Tuchel is way more toxic that Antonio Conte. So please give me Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah, for me, this is something that I would expect De Laurentiis to do. Like that to me is just very. And then he says, "Is this the first time the board CEO acts in silence? Maybe Conte's on his way back. Who's to say?" I don't think Conte will be back. The reason why I say that is because Conte is extremely abrasive, and if any of this, like for example, what Giuntoli's been doing behind the scenes, has any credence to it, I could see him and Conte clashing very, very badly. Because here's the one thing about the Neapolitans, right? You can take the Neapolitan out of Napoli, but you can't take the Napoli out of the Neapolitan. So it's like, for example, he's been there with De Laurentiis, so he's got traits of De Laurentiis. So could you imagine if, and we made
Oh, he
jokes
learned from
about
the master.
Conte, and we made jokes about Conte going to Napoli, right, and how that wouldn't work. I just would Conte. Would I
Oh, yeah.
be? I'd be more welcome to Conte than I would be to Thiago Motta. I'll be honest with you guys. It might not be a popular opinion, but I would rather have Conte.
Oh, there's a bunch of Conte lurkers in the corner just waiting to jump on that.
Because
Just waiting for it.
Because, like, for example, I think that from what you've seen coming out of this management last season and this season, they have no credence to sit there and take a position or to do anything. Like, hell, Dave and I were the lightning rod on Twitch when we were doing Twitch last season for all the abrasiveness and hate, and we got nothing from them in return. They're like, "Oh yeah, just do the streams for us." But thanks, by the way. Thanks for doing X, Y, and Z and absolutely getting blasted on Twitch for us. So it's just like, for me, it's like these guys are jokers. I'm sorry, but these guys are absolute jokers. So for me, it's like, okay, great. Max is gone, and Mota comes in. If next season does not equate to a top 4 finish or development of players,
Brother,
I am coming for
oh,
Giuntoli.
Dash, let me go even further. Champions League has to be easy. It can't be a fight like this season. If you wind up everybody like this, if you fire the coaching staff like this, if you sabotage the coaching staff like this, because you want to spare your transfer budget and whatever for whoever your next coach is, then, brother, every single transfer, the January window, the next winter window, and everything until the end of the season, he will be judged. And honestly, because this situation is caused by management, for me, hey, he has to prove it now.
He has to.
If he is this noisy doing his job, then he better show me.
Sal saying Conte's too expensive for Juve, especially having to pay Max the last year of his contract. Not happening. I agree with that. I kind of wanted to touch back on the Zidane comment. There's a reason why Zidane didn't come in 2019. There's a reason behind it. I think Zidane knew. He's like, this is a shit show. And one of the other reasons why Del Piero does not want to get involved with the executives in the club. He'll do some posters, he'll do some photo ops, he'll do all of this and yada yada yada.
He was there yesterday.
Yeah, like he'll do the pictures and the feel good moments, but I can guarantee you Del Piero, Zidane, none of them want to get into this. They know it's a mess. This is an absolute dumpster fire. For me, this has left a stain on the club for me, which is very difficult because it's tough for me to look at the club the same way that I used to. Because
for me, it changed from yesterday to today, honestly.
Because this is. Go ahead, Dave.
No, sorry. Vlad makes a good point here too, because this was also reported today about Elkin wants to break ties with the old establishment completely. So yeah,
but
I mean, whether it's Conte's thing.
But there's a different way of doing it.
No, I get that, but in terms of bringing back a Conte or even as Zidane or any of those, like that's why this whole Mata thing is. Yeah. This is the new young, right? If you buy into that rhetoric, if that's true or not, I don't know, but that's kind of what's reported.
Does this mean I'm not getting Morata 3.0?
Oh, probably not. No, I would say not if that's the case.
Then that means their objectives are going to be changing. They're not going to try to be a powerhouse if they're going the young route. Because where is there a team of nothing but 21-year-old, 22-year-olds that are consistently competing for titles?
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
So, like, for example, who's going to be...
You can challenge for European spots and everything with a young squad. But in terms of winning something, you need other statesmen in your team. You need experience in your team. You need people or players that have been there that can teach some of the dark arts and everything. There hasn't been a young team that has won everything. Manchester City is full of 29 to 30-year-olds right now. Bayern is the team that has 30-year-olds. Bayer Leverkusen is a team that has 29 to 30-year-olds as their leaders. Arsenal in their midfield, like, yes, they have lots of young players, but Jorginho, Thomas Partey, and yeah, you have to have some experience in your club if you wanted to work.
But let's go back right there with Arsenal right now, right? So, like, for example, they played Bayern in the Champions League, and Bayern out-experienced them easily. And that's the same thing with us in Atalanta in the actual Coppa Italia, where it's like, for example, we came in and yeah, it's ugly. It was an ugly win. It's not the clean win, but the difference is Atalanta didn't know what to do. Yes, you have possession. Like, for example, Arsenal against Bayern. Yes, Arsenal had possession, but the difference is that experience. It's the experience that gives you. Yep, exactly, and it's experience, right? When you get through tough situations, you rely on the older guys. It's the same thing again with Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. Real, the older statesmen on those teams who have won Champions Leagues, who have made comebacks in last minutes of games, knew how to handle it. They knew how to handle
Real Madrid versus Manchester City.
That as well.
Real Madrid versus Manchester City. Real Madrid is a club that can do magic with the ball. And what did Real Madrid do? They let Manchester City have about 60 to 65% ball possession and sat back and waited to counter because they have fucking Vinicius Jr. that can out-dribble the whole of Manchester City's defense if he wanted to. So that's why you leave the opponent with the ball lots of times, and especially with the philosophy of our team that is not good actively on the ball. You leave the opponents with the ball, defend when they have possession, win the ball back, and counter. And by the way, that's how we scored yesterday, from a counter attack.
Yeah, and this is kind of furthering on, like, for example, and this is what my concern is, and this is going on with DCR over here, his comment, where it's, and Yelly had a vision, Elkin does not. Because, like, for example, Dave, I think, or Canadian Dave, you can definitely relate to Elkin's management of Ferrari. How is Ferrari doing right now?
You know what? It's going to be a big tell this weekend, and we're going to do that watch along on Saturday, so we'll find out. They were the for sure second. Yeah, they're solid. They're solid second. Ferrari right now is actually looking pretty okay, but then there's the whole they're gonna dump all this money on Lewis Hamilton, so they are spending money over at Ferrari, like almost 100 mil on Lewis Hamilton, but now Carlos Sainz is being amazing. So,
but here's where I kind of want to throw the script on you guys here. Remember when Juve dropped 100 million on an aging superstar?
Yeah,
how that worked out for them?
Oh man, yeah.
So it's just like
it's either it's exactly the same. Dash, honestly, Dash, it's the same. Dash, honest to God, it's the same situation. I am a Lewis Hamilton fan. I grew up.
I hate him.
Like watching him. The early 2000s and into the late 2000s, where when I got really deep into F1, and he was the driver that I started watching as a child back then. And even I wouldn't do that deal for Ferrari. And it is throwing money at the player or on a driver in this case that may give you 1 or 2 great years, but you lost a fuck ton of money. Yes, you made money in shares and everything, but it may hurt you in the long term. It may hurt them because they will use a 27-year-old driver right now. I think Carlos Sainz is around 26, 27, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So they are losing a great prospect, a prospect that is challenging and sometimes faster than Charles Leclerc. And in my opinion, I think Dave can attest to this as well. I think we all like Carlos Sainz a little bit more because we think he's a little bit more consistent and he's not that whiny on the radio like Leclerc sometimes.
if I had to compare it to something very relatable, it's not direct comparison, but close. Chiesa and Vlahovic. One of them's a pretty boy and can absolutely be brilliant when he wants to. The other one, just kind of quiet, keeps on working. Sometimes good, sometimes amazing. Has his off days, but keeps on working.
And that's kind of one of the things, because Elkin had a very hands-on approach with Ferrari, right? Like, Dave, feel free to step in and tell me I'm wrong here, but John Elkin was locked in on Ferrari. And do ask and do entertain me here and humor me. When was the last time Ferrari won the F1 championship? Over a decade ago?
2008.
Yeah, it was 2000. There you go.
No,
Yeah.
2008 was the 2007 was the last driver championship. 2008 was the last constructor championship.
There you go. I knew you would nail that one.
So just kind of sitting there and like, for example, and I kind of want to, there's two versions of Agnelli. I think there's two versions with Agnelli. You have the Agnelli from 2011 to about 2016, 2017, maybe 18. And then you have the second half of Agnelli's stint. The first half of Agnelli's stint was essentially, I thought it was great. The vision was, hey, let's bring us into a powerhouse. Let's work in tandem with Morata and let's get there. And the truth is, can Lewis Hamilton play right wing for Ferrari? We don't know. The second half, and this is where I get concerned here. The second half is when Juve essentially decided to go into this more marketing brand sense instead of being particularly a football club. And this is when Agnelli lost his damn mind and was like becoming the puppet of Perez at Real Madrid. He's like, hey, you want to get a better brand? Buy Ronaldo. Hey, you want to do this? Do the Super League. Do this and do this. I think Agnelli's ego burned him at the end. I think Agnelli's first essentially 4 or 5 years with the project, he wanted to bring Juve up to prominence. He wanted to do this. Where it's like, for example, when you listen to what Elkin says, I want to make a self-sustaining Juve. I want a Juve that has youth. I want a young Juve. Essentially what that is I'm bringing in youngsters. I will predominantly bring in youngsters, flip them when I can. And if they go and then make a profit, and then that's it. It's essentially, it's a poor man's Man United.
He wants Juve to become a moneymaker for Exor, because right now the club is costing money, because on a regular they have to pump money into the club right now because of the financial because of the bad financial work of the management before that. So they want to make money on the club. That's the problem.
Crazy.
It is like Sal, and it's like Sal says, right? There's a reason why Elkin was picked for an Exor, not Agnelli. It's true, because, like, for example, Elkin is a penny pincher. Yep. Like, Elkin is the penny, nickel and dime guy. Whether, like, for example, you agree with it or not, that's the reality, and that's what you have. He's great. Exor's portfolio is awesome.
He's a great businessman. I'm not. Dude, they signed Lewis Hamilton. They signed him for 99 or 100 million. I don't know if it was exactly 100 million, but it was 99 or 100 million. It was different reports. Sorry if I'm misinforming about the difference of 1 million there. But they signed Lewis Hamilton for 100 million euro. And the day those news broke, Ferrari's stock prices raised by $2 billion. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing, even though this driver will cost them a ton of money. He knew what he was doing, and already for that, the whole company made a shit ton of money. And that is what his vision is. He wants all the companies under the Exor umbrella to earn as much money as possible.
And you know what that means for Juve fans? Finishing in top 4, getting out of the group stages in the Champions League, and maybe winning the Coppa Italia.
Selling your good players.
Selling your good players. For example, like, Bremer being linked.
Selling them for 60 to 70 million, selling new ones for 20, sell them next year for 60. That's how it will go now.
And I'm gonna give you this, and I don't want to alarm you guys, but there was a team that did this in the aims of being
Oh,
self-sustainable.
right now you don't want to alarm us? Can get worse.
fair. There was a team that did this, and their name is Arsenal because they overshot on their new stadium, the Emirates, and for almost a decade, they were bringing in young players, developing them well, just
Nicolas
to have
Pepe.
Fabregas, Robin Van Persie, well, not Robin Van Persie, but like, for example, Arsenal was making all these great players, couldn't keep them because they didn't want to invest and compete for about 10 years until now with Arteta. Now, essentially, this time frame, because I remember Arsenal used to be a banter club for over a decade. Just now is when they're actually starting to get good and invest in stuff. Arsenal.
It changed from last season. It changed from last season when they were finally challenging.
Arsenal was and I remember people used to get pissed, and there was the meme, Arsenal always finishing fourth because Arsene Wenger was trying to get the Champions League funding. Arsenal would always finish fourth, bring in some young players, flip them for 50 to 60 million, and then move on again and repeat the process. So if that is, and for example, guess what? That's the same thing that our board has said, and that's what Elkin has said as well. Bring in a younger Juve, bring in these younger players, bring in the Sam Illings, bring in the Yildiz, bring in this, bring in that, and then you sell them when the going gets well. So it's whether or not you want to get on board with that, you get on board with it. There's no issue, right? If you're fine with this is what it is. But I'm telling you guys, don't expect Mota to come in and win a title next year or the year after that. The only way that works is if that team hits a certain kind of form and a bunch of other teams aren't performing well. Because what you currently have right now is a steaming pile of hot garbage. And some people can blindly trust Giuntoli, but for me right now, I don't. With the way that this situation was handled,
anybody blindly. Oh,
I
the
can't
trust has
because
to be earned now. I'm sorry, but
because
the trust has to be earned.
the question is how can you trust him right now? Because, for example, what? Charlie? Giallo? Weah? And people can say, no way, he just... No. If they were in cohorts with Giuntoli back then, Giuntoli would have said, hey, try to... Here's the list of things that I want to go for. So Weah counts. So as many as people don't want to count Weah, it counts. Trust me. Just because the start date was later doesn't mean they weren't in cohorts. Because, like, for example, just like some of these folks are saying here, Giuntoli was in cohorts with Multa and trying to replace Allegri since January. So they talk. People talk. So for me, this summer is going to be make or break for Mr. Giuntoli. Because you want to swing your sausage and say you're the big chief around these parts, you either put up or you don't.
Dude,
am I wrong here?
If he all of a sudden... Oh, no, you're right. My thought is, if he all of a sudden pulls out 60 million to sign Koopmeiners or whoever, then we 100% sabotage because we had the money evidently for 60 million players.
Yeah.
That's all.
We
I'm
did
saying.
always know. We did always know that he was a businessman, and businessmen, they clearly don't have a soul. They have no hearts, right? Like these ruthless top tier businessmen. If that's what Giuntoli is, in a way, we almost shouldn't even be surprised because we knew that's what he was, and that's what we wanted to fix the books, to fix the team, to fix everything, essentially. Now, do I agree with treating your people like shit? Absolutely not, because you have nothing if you don't have your people, right? At the end of the day.
That's my problem.
But again, are we really surprised? We're shocked at this point, but kind of putting into perspective, I think we should have kind of expected this, and we knew it was going to happen. The only reason now that we're even really talking about it is that it's a little bit premature because of how everything kind of unfolded yesterday. That's the only difference, is all the drama that surrounded it. Now we knew they were just gonna cut him and see you later, deal with it. And if they kept him, it was only going to ever be because he was worth too much and it was too expensive to get rid of him. Last year was that example. It seems that's what we're kind of assuming at this point. All right. So Juve has a terrible track record of treating legends well on the way out. Yeah, true enough there too.
I think because I think Dybala was self-inflicted though. Dybala is an idiot.
I'm surprised nobody said Bonucci in the chat.
I mean, you could kinda if you're gonna put Dybala in the list, you might as well put Bonucci.
Yeah, like I said, if Gentili, and this is what concerns me, is like you're still not sure on your next coach. Like that to me is insane.
But again, maybe there is.
It's crazy, man.
Like if they're in cahoots, like you are saying, then.
But this happens. This no matter what happens, this is stained completely. It's stained. This whole operation is stained because, like, for example, if Koopmeyers comes in, then people can say, "So you didn't want to try to challenge for the Scudetto by getting in the right player? Like you didn't want to go for it?"
Okay, then here's my take on it. Then, right? Like, if we're going to go down this conspiracy, is that Allegri was privy to it because he's not dumb. They probably tried to veil it from him to some extent, but he knew what was going on in the background. And I think just how everything played out yesterday, and as I was going to go on with there at the beginning, was just how the game was playing out, right? Watching Yildiz, his starlet getting stomped on the dick, not everything was going against them, essentially, right? He was pissed at the refs. We knew I was pissed at the ref as soon as I saw who it was. Fabio fucking Maresca. Oh. And that other asshole fourth ref, but that can't even remember his name. Fuck that guy too. But the point being is he was interbriefcase guy. He's pissed at the refs. He was probably pissed a little bit with the players to some extent, like missing a couple. No, I don't know. The boys did play pretty well. But he was pissed, and then he knew. Okay, I secured the UCL. I got the Coppa Italia. I've done what I needed to do. Checks in the box. Done. I don't give a flying fuck anymore. I'm done with this shit. That cocksucker over there, he can go fuck himself. He's the reason why I'm gone, despite me throwing everything down, meeting all the accomplishments, and this guy giving me absolute shit, giving me fucking Charlie Alcaraz. So like a fucking half-broken dude for a loan.
Let me give you some gasoline for your theory now, because now I'm gonna be an asshole now. So let me give you this. So, what if he found out at the end of January what was happening?
He probably did.
He did, right? So let's say that he found out, and then the players found out.
Check mark there.
And the players, because like for example, you saw with how the players celebrated with him. And then what? Because here was the thing that we were always perplexed.
That is my thought. That is what I told you pre-show. That is exactly my thought. Cook.
And the players for the season said, "Fuck it. We'll make top 4. Fuck it." That's what he wants. That's what he told me. That's what we had in the midwinter meeting. Top 4 is the objective. Let's try to fuck it. Because if you noticed, and you know what? I'm going to play the music because we haven't played this in a very long time. Because this is where I'm starting to think here a little bit. Because it's starting to. Damn, we have this all the way down here or something?
It's X. Of course it's at the bottom.
Is it? No, it's not here. It's Arnold.
He wants the X-Files music. Did I get rid of it?
X-Files music. Oh, there we go.
I was burning it.
So, because we always said this, during the Coppa Italia matches, they played a different way. Except for that first half, that second leg against Lazio. Like in the Coppa Italia matches, there was a different intensity, a different kind of go with it. But you look at it in the Serie A matches, it was labored. It didn't matter. The players didn't care. And I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, what the hell? Does Max not care with some of these substitutions and plays? So part of me is thinking, he found out that, hey, you're done at the end of the year. You got Charlie and
Yep.
Jello, who are practically useless because
Yep.
despite the potential of Charlie, there's no way that Charlie was going to essentially tap into that potential within 6 months. January, and I've always said this, the January market is where you get a player like a Jack Bonaventura, a middle of the road guy that is a role player that
If you have to
fills
fill
a
a hole.
hole.
If you have to fill a hole, yeah.
To fill the hole. So now it's just like, okay, hey, we won the cup because that was something that him and the players wanted to go for. And
I thought this. I was thinking the same thing too today. Like, was this also the players just giving a fuck you?
Maybe.
It could be. It could be. It's a lot of speculation.
Look. The first thing the players did, it wasn't kissing their wives. It wasn't going to the fans. The first thing they did was grabbing Max and throwing him into the air and celebrating
and then dropping him.
That was the first thing they did. Yeah, but
they did. That was kind of funny that they dropped him. That was funny. That was hilarious.
It's the count. But that was.
But it is true.
The first thing they did. They went to him to celebrate, and that shows me that all the talk of a locker room problem and whatever, dude. Was there one single person in this chat or you two guys that yesterday saw locker room problems?
It did seem that way, to be honest.
No.
There was a different feel yesterday.
You had Pensilio put his ass in Milik's face.
Yes, Vlad, breaking news. Thank you.
Yeah,
I just saw this
you
as
see
well.
how happy they were?
But going back to how the management are a bunch of cucks.
Is this comment true?
I just got that myself. Yes, this
is that legitimately true? You mean
Juventus,
the same referee association that didn't give you a clearly deserved penalty because they were trying to keep Atalanta? You mean that FIGC, that Gravina? Are you insane?
So it's from Juventus News 24 via at around Juventus. So it's not a great source.
That to me is ridiculous.
If this is true, we can forget all the villain arc we talked about. The club is trying to suck up to FIC to get the Inter treatment. That's what it looks like.
The Inter treatment?
Oh my god. Yeah, dude, getting beneficial calls from the league, getting all the nice sponsorships and getting Maresca whistling games, but actually whistling for you.
Because this is like, for example, what some knucklehead is saying on X right now, because one person is making the argument here, the same argument that we've talked about. We were fighting for the Scudetto, the same comment Sal made. They wanted to replace Allegri. Allegri asked for one player in the midfield. He got Charlie, and he gave Allegri just the top 4 as an objective and as far as possible in the cup. So this meathead responds by saying they want Gentoli to work miracles with 5 million, but I'll tell you that Allegri can't do any better because this squad is worse than Bologna.
On paper, technically it is. It's like in the standings, it technically is now, right?
Yeah, it's practically identical in theory, but
it's pretty close.
With 5 million, if you were able to somehow trim Artur's salary or something like that, you could have worked a deal to get Jack Bonaventura for Arthur if you knew what you were doing. If you had Jack Bonaventura on this roster to bench Locatelli or to challenge Locatelli, you would have done better.
You can, with 5 million or 10 million or whatever it is, you can work wonders in the world of football if you are truly doing your job as a scout and as a sporting director. Right now in Bundesliga, there are diamonds that you can get for 5 million because the Bundesliga clubs are selling clubs. We make fun of it, but we are a farmers league. Sorry, but it is true.
Speaking of
How
what you're
much did
saying
we
there,
get
right?
costage from Frankfurt?
11
Dash, for how
to
much did we
17?
get costage from Frankfurt? And
Yeah, about almost
and
15
he
to
was in the
17
form
million.
of his life. He won the Europa League. He
Well,
won the Europa League. He
remember
was in the form of his life.
Zakaria as well. 5 million.
Yeah, there's a couple decent.
That's what
cheap
I'm saying.
deals
There are this is just the case of Bundesliga, because I watch nearly every fucking Bundesliga game. But these players are all over the football world. And you're telling me that as a scout, if you wanted to, you couldn't find somebody? You couldn't find a regista? You couldn't find a creative midfielder? You couldn't find a solution for Samardžić, for example, and to do a loan and or whatever, if you truly wanted?
They wanted
Right now,
Locatelli so bad,
you
they bent
guys
over
know,
backwards.
Dash, do you know the half German, half Albanian player from Freiburg, Brian Gruder?
Yeah,
Do you know him?
I think he plays for the German
He's
national
a
team.
he's a 19-year-old talent for Freiburg, for the German youth team, and he's eligible for the German team and for the Albanian team. And we don't know yet who he will decide, but he won't get called up for Germany from the Euros. But there's rumors about them having already communicated Joanna of future plans, everything. That brother is one of the best talents in Europe right now. His goal and assist numbers, his passing, progressive passing, everything. His numbers are incredible. And he's 5 and 10 million. So you're telling me you can't get a player like that out of Freiburg, who we played last season in the Europa League?
It's not Koopmeyers, that's why. It's bullshit. I'm sorry. Because like the question is if you couldn't even find players in Bundesliga, how the fuck are you finding Charlie at Southampton? A $4 million 6-month loan deal.
He's Argentinian.
That was the best you came up with? And people wanted me to trust this guy? Because he didn't scout Jallo. Inter was scouting Jallo, and we stopped Inter from getting Jallo.
It's incredible. A 4 million loan. Put 1 million on it, and you get a player for yourself. And in retrospect,
a lot of that's fucking crazy
deal,
in hindsight.
I don't know, man. In retrospect, the deal looks even worse now with, like you said,
Yes.
with all the hindsight.
4 million loan with a 50 million option to buy. Deal looks
45
stupid.
to put them 45 to put them on top of those 4 million already. 4 plus 1, I believe, and 45 buy option. Crazy.
We all knew it was a bad deal and kind of a rush deal. We didn't really realize, I guess, why. We still don't really know why.
Yeah, it was the last day.
Well, and then again,
no, I think their problem. No, hold up. Our problem was we were searching for like we searched for a scapegoat. We had clearly creative problems, and to me it looked like he just chose a random player that is on loan in order to not spend money, and said, here, the creative player, please cook with him. I think that's it.
That's the case, man. I question his ability to be an effective sporting director. I really do.
I think he can. I think he can. My problem is that it seems like we got a petty mofo now in the job that we thought will be a serious job. Like I take all his lowballing. If it makes the club so successful, I take his lowballing. I take him like gripping teams for transfers. I take him being a dick to everybody. But dude, if you are starting spilling lies on everybody in the public, and 100%, that reaction yesterday by Max after the game looks like a guy, and it may be only my feelings, but it looked like a guy that was sabotaged for nearly for 4 months now. That completely was sabotaged, that didn't get any help, that was in front of the microphones to play a shield for the management that didn't give him anything. Players that most likely saw the treatment of the coach, and we yesterday saw love the coach. So maybe the player said "fuck you" to the management, or said, "Hey, why giving an effort for them?" And all this like completely came to blows yesterday because Max fulfilled all his obligations. He brought us to the Champions League. He won silverware in this climate, where his name gets dragged through the mud. He's a goddamn champion and the one of the most winningest coaches in football history, not only Italian history. The man is a perennial winner, and his name gets dragged through the mud the whole time. And to me, yesterday, it looks like a man that finally, like Dev also said earlier, yeah, fuck you all.
He's gonna go to Real Madrid after Ancelotti and win like 3 straight.
Or Bayern Munich.
No, yeah,
If
I can
he-
see that.
If he goes, if he takes,
Oh my God, he finally he will finally make me like Bayern Munich. Oh my God, I can't believe this is true. Don't do
so
this to
Vlad
me,
is saying
guys.
that. I think I have the clip here.
The reaction of Cambiasso when Max cursed Maresca and Dorverdi. That was one of the others there. Yes, Dorverdi. The reaction of Gatti after Max confronted Gintoli tells me the players knew. Play the Gintoli clip again and look at Gatti's reaction.
Let me see if I can get it here for you.
It's super
So
small, but...
Gatti, there's that, and then Gintoli's next to him, and he kind of pushes him away. I don't see it. Might be the wrong clip.
Well, that's when he fucked up Gintoli.
Yeah.
And we did mention it yesterday too. He was just sitting on the advertisement signs, looking at the crowd with a little smirk on his face, kind of looking long but looking smug at the same time.
Dude,
Juventus
Max
midfield played their heart out.
Max when he celebrated with the players, like everybody was full of laughs and everything. Do you remember
Vlad, send me the clip,
the
Vlad. Send me the clip.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dave.
So,
I'm just asking for Vlad to send it to me in Discord.
And do you remember the clip where he sat on the advertisement barrier with all his coaching staff and all of them were the cameras? Dude, sorry, but it didn't look to me, and it might be the eye test, but it didn't look to me that anybody in that squad or that is involved in actual playing and coaching, it didn't look to me like anybody dislikes Max. I'm sorry.
Again, it's all speculation. It is all just what we saw, but I don't know. I don't know what the other content creators are saying today. Anyways, maybe a bunch of people are disagreeing with us, but from our point of view, anyways, it looks a lot like a conspiracy. Like it was all set up, and this was Max just saying, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to expose all of it. I'm just going to blow this bitch up, and you guys can deal with the outcome. I don't care if I coach the next 2 games. Screw it. I'm done. And then his last game is a championship
didn't
game.
get any players. A man that didn't get any players. A man that was last year a lawyer, a journalist, a person, and everything within one body. A man that fought last season against a 15 point deduction and then a 10-point deduction and everything. A man that fought through all that, and we were in the CL spots last season, brings us to this year, where from the start the club communicates our objective to get to the Champions League. There wasn't talk of the Coppa Italia or anything. They were talking solely about getting to the Champions League. He led them to the Champions League, secured it with 2 game days to go. Granted, it wasn't beautiful, but we went through all those reasons. But we finally reached the Champions League spot. And we won silverware while at it, while his name gets dragged through the mud the past 2 seasons. Yeah.
Because Guido Vicaggio.
Think about that.
All right. Do we need to touch on the game at all?
No, it was a cup final. You shithouse balled the shit out of a hot team. There's nothing. There's nothing. Like, for example, I don't. Let's go Rangers. That's right. They're playing tonight. I don't like, because, like, for example, there's no benefit to this, because this game was essentially, you took a hot team that was playing a high flying offense, you hit them with a low block, you popped them in the face early, forced them off script. They couldn't get a clean shot on target the entire game.
Yep.
And you won. Like, people keep thinking, like, and this is where I'm going to end this show on this quick little rant here. People expect cup finals to be tiki-taka ball. Have we not watched a plethora of these finals where they have not been that? There's probably one Coppa Italia final outside of the one against Inter where it was 2-2. But, like, for example, most of them 2-1, 1-0, penalties. Even with Champions League finals, 1-0s, penalties, etc. So it's like, guys, it's a one-off cup game. Both teams are going to be conservative. Juve scored in the 3rd minute, so Juve could afford to be conservative because they made Atalanta play to them. They should have been up 3-0. Just saying, by the way, that they should have been up 3-0. But then you have people, 30% possession. Okay, great. Fantastic. If I have 30% possession and I take 3 shots that put 3 on you, that's pretty damn efficient.
Yeah, let's not even talk about all the non-calls as well. The reffing was atrocious, especially at the 60-minute mark. It changed. And you can tell when it's so obvious when it's like 59 minutes and 50-something seconds. Oh, bad call. Next minute, bad call. And it was just bad calls from the 60th minute on. And yes, I'm throwing the tinfoil hat on for this one. That goddamn Fabio Maresca. And I know it. I keep on saying it. As soon as I saw his name, as soon as I saw that smug ass face, I knew it was going to be a fucking shit show. And, you know, I was actually a little bit impressed for an hour.
Yep. I kind of want to touch on Peloso's comment real quick. Sorry. This was I said this on the watch along yesterday. Atalanta were scheming like they had Scamacca in the team. Like, it's like Gasparini forgot that Scamacca can't play, because the way that Atalanta
conference,
like they were playing like Scamacca essentially was on the field, but no, there's no one on that roster that can do what Scamacca does. But yet they still game planned it, because let me read you the stats, all of them. 66 to 34% possession. Atalanta had an expected goal of 0.79. Juve had 1.54. And then to add on to it, Atalanta, 13 shots to Juve's 9 shots. 0 shots on target. Perin did not have to make a save. Zip.
So the question is, would Scamacca have gotten a shot on target?
Might have got 1 or 2, because he is an aerial menace. And then you have, again, Juve, 4 big chances, 3 of them missed. 3 big chances missed that game.
Moretti just zinging it off the crossbar again.
0. It wasn't Anthony. It wasn't classified as a save. They didn't count that as a save. So, and then it's just like, again, I don't understand some of this logic that people want tiki-taka, super sexy ball in a final. Win the damn game, raise the fucking trophy. That's the objective. Because when we go back to it 10 years from now and we're like, hey, man, remember that Coppa Italia final where we had, all the bullshit calls and we won that one, we scraped by it? No one's going to sit there and be like, damn, we played some amazing football, some amazing tiki-taka football. Huh? Like, nobody gives a shit about that in 10 years. So I don't understand why that's a thing where people sit there and just say, man, we won the game, but we only had 34% possession. Possession, I think Pep Guardiola has proven the point that possession doesn't mean shit. Possession is a meaningless stat. If you do nothing with it, congratulations. You held the ball and didn't know what the fuck to do. You're stupid. That's kind of like us with Salernitana. 67% possession and fuck all with the ball.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, at this point, right? Like, you had no idea what to do with it. Congratulations, you held the ball, but you didn't do anything with it. So it's like, what else do you want? And then let's have some fun here. Tottenham and Man City. Guess what? Man City beat Tottenham at Tottenham. You want to know how much possession Pep Guardiola had? 47%. But was more clinical. And that's why Man City won the game. Can we stop with possession feet? Please, folks. Can we move on from that?
Especially when the formation, the strategy is to have low possession and then counterattack hard, which we were doing. It was just how clinical we are not. That's been the whole season. We've been doing this. This season would be a lot less shitty feeling if we converted even like an extra 20% of those chances.
If we converted less, like for example, if we reduced our big chance missed by 25 to 30%, Dusan would be near 30 goals this year.
The whole season would be different.
Dusan, in my opinion, Dusan should have scored 30 this year.
Probably could have.
I think he could have. Again, I'm the big Dusan hater, but he's had opportunities. He should have probably scored 30. Despite, and this is where I got to give him credit. Despite
if he doesn't
all
get
the
sold
misses
next season,
right? Despite all the misses he's had this season, he still hit 20.
Mm-hmm.
Still hit 20.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see it going down.
Clap. I tip my hat to him for that. I still think he needs to develop his game more. Perfectly fine. But again, like I said.
And by the way, I'm the guy shitting. And by the way, I'm the guy shitting on Chiesa all the time. And yesterday, granted, it wasn't the best performance, but I think the past weeks, he showed me something, man. He was moving again good. But ironically, like on the right side again. Every time he's on the right side, he's incredibly dangerous. But the past weeks, he impressed me as well. I see an upwards trajectory there as well. So I give it to Vlahovic, who was sometimes good, sometimes not as good. The consistency is still lacking with him. But I also tip my hat to Chiesa, who showed me something, and I'm the biggest hater there. So yeah, it was pretty good.
Tip of the hat to the whole team. Honestly, it's just the management we seem to have an issue with right now.
Yep. Do you want to get angry one last time?
I got nothing left. I'm tuckered out.
You're tuckered out.
Dash. This will give you energy again.
I got a game in an hour. I
don't. If we could string 3 consecutive passes together, we'd have 2 trophies.
That's it.
All right.
That's it.
And the foul on Vlahovic from Hayin should have been looked at. Yeah, because he had the arm extended out there. Also, Chiesa beat the defender to the ball on the Vlahovic chance. The refing was bad.
In the nuts.
So the nut stomp was the most egregious one, absolutely. So Dash does need to go play some footy.
To this one again, sorry. Just give me 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Just credit to Cell for exposing again our damn journalists. Tell me, please, what is this reporting?
Romeo says, today you can officially stay calm because nothing is happening. Tomorrow I'll wake up early. Maybe they'll decide that he won't be at the one leading the training. but we need to be very cautious. Juventus is definitely very irritated. Congratulations. That was
I'm
like
irritated by you, man.
that's what normal people post statuses. Hey, I'm waking up early tomorrow morning to take a shit and eat a bagel. Congratulations. You
Is he
offer
gonna do
no
that?
value.
And maybe
Is he gonna do that douchey
And
thing when you
maybe
wake up at 4:30? You do that. You have the picture of your watch. Just be like, "Look how hard I am. I woke up at 4:30 this morning."
Anthony, how do you feel
that's
about the
greatest.
offside? I feel that it's absolute bullshit, and I can't wait until the rule gets revised to the new projected rule that's going on FIFA's rules committee. So,
And do we know that was the right frame that they should have taken?
Exactly.
We still never know that.
exactly.
So
All right. So
we have to make for next season a list with journalists who can we listen to and who not. The
Zero.
others we were
Yeah, none of them.
None of them.
Just listen to us. We know everything. No. No, we don't.
Oh my god, Asian journalism is incredibly bad, man. Wow.
Yeah. Well, we're here to trash it apart and hopefully find some truth or something. We're digging. We're digging for you guys. We're trying to do our best here. That being said, I am gonna be like Romeo Agresti. I'm gonna wake up early, and if there's any news, it's Victoria Day weekend, so it's the weekend where I celebrate my colonialism here in Canada. So I'm gonna have the day off. So if anything happens, I'll be here. I'll go live for you guys. We'll flash it out. If German Dave's available, he'll jump in as well. The Yank over there's got to work. He's not going to show up. He dumped his tea overboard, so he doesn't get tomorrow's holiday. Anyways, guys, anything else before we kick this one off?
Nope.
Kick it off. That's like starting things. That's backwards. All right. Well, on that note, let's do it, guys. Thanks for joining in. Like,
The Lukaku
subscribe.
Boom, 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 boom.
To the
You just wake up and then your heart is just pumping. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, so those moments are crazy.
Okay, we got it in. The Gatti clip. Post in Discord.
Yeah, if you want to see it, it's in Discord.
Okay, hit the Discord.
All right, folks.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in, and remember to wake up early. As brought to you by Romeo Agresti, guy that just apparently knows people in the club that doesn't really know anything. Well, anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we will catch you for some F1 on the weekend.
Or anything tomorrow if it pops off. I'll be there. Friday, Saturday. I'm with you guys. We'll do it again. Good night. Thanks for joining in. Love you all.